villages in remote Malaysian jungles, Syrian refugees in the Middle East, and global mission pioneers in Nigeria, coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming from the beautiful city of Auckland, New Zealand. It's known as the City of Sails, not because of discounted goods, but because of the beautiful harbours and all the boats that come in from all around the world. This is a very multicultural city with people from various parts of the world coming to live here. There are many Polynesians. Some 1.5 million people live here in this city. Behind me is City Hall. Today we'll be talking about mission in New Zealand and many other parts of the world, but first up, let's travel to Malaysia, where we go to some remote jungle villages.
Deep in the Malaysian jungle, a small village is tucked away in a beautiful valley. To get here from the nearest city, you have to drive for hours on treacherous terrain and winding mountain roads. During the rainy season, flooding makes it nearly impossible to drive in and out of this village. Boats become the only means of travel. The village sits next to a river that is used for fishing and transportation year-round. Alvin is a global mission pioneer serving this remote village. When he was young, Alvin's family learned about Jesus for the first time and became Adventists. Since then, he knew he wanted to share this special message with others, so he became a pioneer. When he first came to the village, it reminded him of where he grew up. The mountainous landscape felt like home. There was already one Adventist family here, but no church building to worship in. So Alvin immediately began getting to know people and spending time with them. He assists them with their work and teaches them basic English phrases. He often prays with them before visiting others. Alvin has a special place in his heart for the children. He loves teaching them and doing fun activities together. Marching and drilling is a popular activity for children in the villages in this region. Sometimes children from surrounding villages will come together to demonstrate new marches they have learned. Recently, the children in Alvin's village earned first place in a competition between 7 of the region's local schools. They are thankful for everything Alvin has taught them. Since Alvin began his ministry, a small Adventist church has been built on the hill overlooking the village. He spends a lot of time here with the children and his family, teaching, singing, and praying. Now multiple families in the village are getting to know Jesus thanks to Alvin. More than 20 people attend church on Sabbath, and the numbers keep growing. Alvin asks that you say a special prayer for his village.
One thing I ask you to pray for is the joy and happiness of the families in this village. I would also like to ask that you pray for them to always love one another, but above all, to love God.
Thank you for supporting the work of global mission pioneers like Alvin.
My guest here in Auckland is Rebecca Ramone, who is one of the facilitators for Solutions. Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us. Now, what is Solutions?
Solutions is a program that is run out of Calvary Community. Offer this program for Grace, and Grace Foundation is people that come to us and they stay in our homes. They have various backgrounds, and some of them are just they come from either corrections, homeless, or some of them are just mental health. But they're people that have no homes to go to.
Right. Now, when you say from other corrections, you're saying prison, right?
Yes, they've been incarcerated for some time.
Okay, so what does Solutions do? What solutions does Solutions provide for these people?
Well, the people that are with us, they've done numerous programs when they've been incarcerated in prison. They've been told to help them with their alcohol addictions or whatever it is, or drug addictions or abuse or violence. And so the program is all about God's solutions. How can they engage God, the Creator, into dealing with their demons that they're trying to overcome?
So in a secular country like New Zealand, you're allowed to talk about God with these people?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Hence, it's very difficult to get funding from any government providers or any funding agencies. And that's why we're so grateful for ADRA, because they understand the God factor and how important it is.
Yes.
So yes.
Excellent. Rebecca, how long have you been working with this ministry?
With the Solutions program, Grant and I came on board September last year. But we've been in Grace, working for Grace, which is a community arm of Calvary, for a number of years, for about 4 years now.
Wonderful. So Grant was leading what we saw happening here this morning, and he was doing group activities. And what sort of values is he trying to teach there?
Well, all of them come to us and they don't know each other, so they lack trust.
Right.
So all the group activities tries to encourage them to mix and mingle with each other, to communicate, and that it's all right to make mistakes. And yeah, you saw this morning they actually have a good laugh.
Yeah. Can you share an experience with me of how this ministry, this is connecting with people, has touched somebody's life?
Oh, it's because it's supposedly a 15-week program. We have people that come to us at different stages. So some of them come to us at the very beginning of the program, and others because they have other conditions and commitments with the government, and so they get to leave us on the early stages. So the actual program itself is really essential, that we don't go from week 1 to week 15 going through a curriculum per se, but each lesson, because we don't know whether they're going to be with us for the entire time or whether they're going to leave us. So we try to instill in them the values of being able to connect and engage with God. And we've had a few people that have only come to us for a couple of weeks and left. However, they ring, they contact us. If they go back to prison because they've got to serve their term, that's what the judge said, then they ask us to come back and visit them. So this Solutions program is absolutely crucial, because they come from a society that has been pressured by their peers and families, and when they engage with God, then they get to realize that there's a bigger power there that's willing to help them. And of course, God uses anyone.
Yeah. So, Rebecca, why aren't you just preaching at these people?
Well, God's created us as creative beings, and there's different ways of learning. Some of the people that we have are illiterate, so we can't just preach to them. We've got to use various different means of delivery. And both Grant and I have teaching backgrounds, which is a bonus in the sense that it's not just the spoken word, it's engaging them, it's giving them something tangible. They're given homework. If they do it, they don't, but we give them a whole range of things that they can to engage God.
So it almost sounds like you're describing Christ's method of ministry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful.
Absolutely.
Now, when you look at your time spent here, is there any person, a man or a woman, who sticks in your memory as being a significant encounter that you've had?
Oh, everyone has a story. So if you were to pinpoint anyone in the room and pull them out, they'll be quite happy to tell their story. We've had people that have been with us since last year. I think of a young woman by the name of Jessie Jarvis. She's moving on to another program that she has to do. She's engaging with her children, in which she wasn't allowed to before. We have a young woman that's here called Amanda Zoe Reed. She's of Caucasian background. She was disowned by her family. We met her in prison. She's got a story, and her partner Tarquin as well. I think of Taina, who's been with us for a few weeks, and his girlfriend is here as well. They all have encountered God in different ways and forms, only because they didn't know He was there. Now they realize Jesus is real. They say to us, if Jesus can hear you, He'll hear us, and it's been their experience too.
So Rebecca, what does it mean to you to be involved in this sort of ministry? How does it make you feel to be involved?
Oh, I'm absolutely honoured. I'm humbled. I'm humbled that that Grant and I can do this together as a team. In our various walks of life, we've worked in different organisations for many years. But for us to work as a team and just winning souls, you know, the Bible, the word tells you the wisest people is winning souls, and we thought we were wise before. But to actually see, you know, God changing people who are willing to be changed, it just humbles us. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing here in Auckland.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah, thank you. And viewers at home, please pray for Rebecca, pray for Grant, pray for the team in this holistic ministry, ministering to people who have been broken in many different ways, families that have been broken, and bringing the restoration and healing that can only come through Jesus Christ. We'll be right back with more Adventist Mission after this break. Welcome back to Auckland, New Zealand. Next up, Uncle Homer has a terrific story of Syrian refugees giving Bible studies in the Middle East.
We're in the prayer chapel at the General Conference, and today I have a special prayer request I'd like you to join me in praying for. I want you to pray with me for the Syrian refugees around the world. War is a horrible thing. I hate war, especially as I watch not just the news, but as I watch the people who are trying to escape from the war. Many of them have come to Western countries, but many others are stuck in the countries around Syria and Iraq. They can't go on to the West doesn't want them. They can't go back home, their homes have been destroyed and there's nothing there to go back to. And they can't stay where they are because the little countries surrounding Syria are swamped with millions of refugees. They're packed into tiny little places, many families sharing one garage or one empty part of a building or a tarp that they're trying to sleep under even in the snow of winter. But in spite of the terribleness of war, God never quits working. A number of Seventh-day Adventists have been trying to help the refugees in different parts of the world. And a few years ago, about 4 years ago, the Seventh-day Adventist Church started a small school for Syrian refugee children. In one of our countries, there are thousands and thousands of children with no education. But the school could only handle about 100 children, and yet it was a start. The staff worked diligently to try and help these kids that had seen so much and been through so much horror. Many of them had lost family members in the fighting. They had had to flee and leave everything they owned behind. But now they had a stable place, at least, to come to school day after day. They could play games with the other kids. They could listen to stories and be learning. In the afternoons, the staff didn't quit work. They went to visit the families, talk with them, pray with them, ask them questions, try to find things that they could do to help the families of these Syrian refugees. And now, 4 years later, a number of those families have begun to get together in little groups for Bible studies every week. Many of them are coming to a branch Sabbath school every Sabbath. I wanted to tell you a story about one of those families. It's a Sunni Muslim family. They came from Syria, leaving everything they had behind. They were thankful for somewhat of a roof over their heads. They were thankful to finally get their kids into our school and have a place where they could be studying. And soon they became thankful that it was an Adventist school, because we don't drink alcohol and we don't eat pork and a lot of other things that they could identify with. That family has fallen in love with Jesus. They're reading their Bibles faithfully. They've given their hearts to Jesus, and they want to share what they're learning with others. In fact, the little 5-year-old boy in the family every week is bringing his neighbor children, most of them Shia, he's Sunni, they're Shia, bringing them to his home every week to tell them Bible stories. It's exciting to see even a 5-year-old sharing what he's learning. He teaches them songs and Bible stories. The family recently discovered that one of their wealthy neighbors hired an Ethiopian maid and that she was a Christian. They were thrilled because now there was a Christian living in their community. They began making friends with her, but then they were puzzled. This lady, she claimed to be a Christian, but she didn't believe like they believed. In fact, she finally admitted to them she had never read the Bible. She didn't even have a Bible. So they rushed back to their house, got their own Bibles, and came, this Sunni Muslim family, and gave a Bible study to this Christian lady. Their first study was about how Jesus loved her. It was about how God could be prayed to directly, that she didn't need a priest in order to go to God. She could go directly to God. What an exciting thing that is to think about. A Muslim family giving a Bible study to a Christian lady. You know, we could be repeating this many times if we had more of these schools, but we only have one, meeting the needs of about 100 children. When we could use dozens, we could use hundreds of these schools if we had the money and the people to open them. War is a horrible thing, but God can work through all of these circumstances to touch people's lives. This school that we started is a joint project based on funding from your faithful tithes and mission offerings, funding from special donations. And if you would like to find a way that you can help even more to help establish schools like this, to help run this school and establish new ones, go to AdventistMission.org and click on Donate. And especially, join us in praying for the millions of Syrian refugees who are still longing to know Jesus.
Next up, let's travel to Central Africa, to Nigeria, to see how 4 global mission pioneers are starting work in new areas.
Just a few months ago, these 4 global mission pioneers came together from different parts of Nigeria to begin working in this unreached community. Like the Apostle Paul, who often ministered with a companion, there is strength in numbers. Every day, these pioneers gather around the table for worship and to invite God to go with them as they carry a message of hope to the people in their city. And if you ask them why they're here,
I decided to be a global mission pioneer because I see that there is a need for people to hear the gospel. Because when we look at around this vicinity, we see that there is a lot that have not been heard from the Bible. And I feel that the only way I can do that is to come out here as a pioneer and reach out to people around this place.
I like this pioneer job because it makes me to spread the gospel to the whole world.
The reason why I come to be global mission pioneer because as I see the truth, I want people to know.
The reason why I am interested in this pioneering work is to execute the work that God has given to me.
these pioneers are answering God's call to serve, and He has created great opportunities for them to connect with their neighbors. But over the last few months, they've also faced some major challenges.
When we get to some places, we see that they don't accommodate us, they chase us away. We find out that apart from the spiritual aspect that we are giving to them, they are also in need of physical things, which we saw that we have to get in touch with them.
Maybe some people have sickness, some people don't have food to eat, some people don't have, even they don't have house to live. So, a lot of challenge.
In fact, 95% of them, they are needy people. And they see us as the person that can solve their problem. The next thing is to tell us what they are facing.
It's not easy meeting the needs of people because without meeting their physical need, there's no way we can meet their spiritual need.
With time and caring, the pioneers have become friends with many of their neighbors. Mrs. Adewale runs a small business on the side of the road selling food. She is well known in the neighborhood, and everyone seems to come to her stall to buy something. Some days, as she prepares food, the pioneers will sit with her and teach her from the Bible. Mrs. Adewale looks forward to those days so she can ask questions and learn more. She is just one of the many people they have connected with in town. Now, a small group meets each Sabbath to worship and study Scripture. Many of the members in this congregation have recently given their hearts to Jesus, and the pioneers are committed to growing this family of believers. As they continue to work in this city, they ask for your prayers.
We can't change souls. It's only God that can change souls. And only prayer that I'm expecting from the church is to pray for the changing of hearts.
The most important thing I would like people to pray for is the power of the Holy Spirit, pouring out the Holy Spirit upon us to walk beyond our imagination.
Thank you for supporting Global Mission pioneers in challenging areas. Your prayers and support make a huge difference in lives around the world.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed today's 360-degree view of mission around the world, from remote jungle villages in Malaysia to cities such as these in New Zealand. We see tremendous mission challenges still facing us, but wonderful things are happening. And I want to thank you so much for the part that you play in Adventist Mission. Through your prayers and through your personal involvement and through your financial gifts to Global Mission, it does make a big difference. And as a small token of our appreciation for your involvement in mission, I'd like to send you the Mission Spotlight DVD. It's a sample copy full of mission stories around the world. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.